Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
This will be mostly me today because we're looking at Megaman Battle Network.
Which I believe involves Megaman and some networks. I've not played any of these games, so yes, I'm acknowledging what you said, mostly you.
Okay, so yeah. This is what got me. If you just watch the Sonic review, you know how much this means to me. This was my first real fandom. The story behind Mega Man is long and complex, but originally Mega Man was a series of side-scrolling blasting games where you played as a robot named Mega Man who ran all over the world blowing up Dr. Wily's evil robots.
And he had a lot of them.
Boy, did he have a lot of them. The Battle Network series, it's heavily implied that both universes used to be one, but they split off from a common element. Specifically, when the original Dr. Light, basically in one universe, the original universe, Dr. Wily was the one successful with his grant, and robotics technology took over the world. I mean, didn't take over the world, became the dominant technological force on the planet. In this universe, Dr. Light, here Dr. Hikari Sr., became the dominant force of used network technology, like the internet and stuff, to become the dominant technological force in the world.
Wow.
So basically everything's connected to the internet in this world. Everyone has their own AI called a NetNavi, which they operate using a PET or a personal terminal. You know, I used to have a hard time explaining what these things are, but they're iPhones with an AI.
All right.
It's really sad that I can just say that, and it's just, this is just something that I can just fucking say.
Yeah.
You play as Lan Hikari and his NetNavi Megaman. And your goal is to basically stop evil, because you're the number one badass who rocks everything ever, forever. The first game's plot, I actually haven't played the first game. It's kind of embarrassing, but the plot of the first game is that there's a new terrorist organization, WWW, which apparently stands for World 3, because science. I don't know. It was founded by Dr. Light. Sorry, Dr. Wily, the classic Mega Man villain. And the game is fairly heavily story-based, but there is room for exploration. You meet Lan and his friends, you go through the story, you fight against people with evil NetNavis until you finally defeat the life virus and save the world.
The life virus was going to kill everything?
Yes, because it's basically invincible.
Oh, well, there you
go. So anyways, on to the next game. It's the summer break in between the previous game and the next game. And there's a new terrorist organization called Gospel. And they're trying to create the ultimate program, Base. So you go through and you kick everyone's ass again. But at the end, it's revealed that the ultimate goal was to create infinite copies of Base. This is bad.
Oh.
But what's worse is they're copies of the real Base, who is way more powerful than these copies.
Because copies work differently than regular
because
copies.
They're basically knockoff models. I
see.
It's like a bootleg of the real thing. Battle Network 3, but it also turns out that the bad guy in Battle Network 2 was working for someone else behind the scenes. Battle Network 3 reveals that to have been Wily the whole time, whose goal was to capture the original version of the internet and use it as a weapon to destroy all of net society. Again, because this is kind of Wily's thing.
Yes. Dang you, net society.
Well, yeah, his whole life was basically made obsolete when robotics technology went out of fashion.
Oh, right.
So he actually kind of has a good reason in a supervillain stupid way.
In a supervillain way.
Yeah, but like he has a genuine motivation as opposed to, I didn't get the last hot dog, time to blow up the earth!
Gee, that reminds me of a certain god of destruction we reviewed once.
Yeah, okay. Okay, but Beerus also has an excuse in that he's a fucking god.
Right.
Wily is not.
All right.
Battle Network 3, I think, was personally my favorite one because 2 and 3 are tied as my favorites because they just had such a great story. And that's really what I love about the Battle Network games, the story. But basically, at the end of Battle Network 3, Base shows up, kicks some ass, but then gets eaten by the original internet, and then Mega Man gets eaten by the original internet, and everything dies.
Really?
But then they find a way to save Mega Man.
So catch me up on this. The original internet can just eat things?
Yeah, it was basically... The original internet became self-aware.
Oh, wow.
And started to absorb all the data and became a menace to everything.
Society, okay.
Yeah. Okay, then the series took a turn into a ditch and got eaten by zombies.
Oh, the original internet must have eaten it.
No. Okay, Battle Network 4 is where the things started to go downhill. In that it theoretically had a story, but in reality, it did not have a story at all. See, there's a new threat going on out there called dark chips that corrupt a NetNavi's soul when you plug them in.
Don't plug them in then. Problem solved.
Well, they're super powerful too, so, you know. But don't worry, that's only a very, very, very minuscule portion of the actual plot that barely interferes. Which is, you have to go into a tournament.
Oh.
If you're anything like me, you fucking hate tournaments.
Because there's so little story?
Well, that, and it's so lazy. We don't even need a plot. We just have to have, okay, then these two guys are going to fight, and then these two guys are going to fight, and then these two guys are going to fight. And it's no tension either because all the outcomes are predetermined. Yes, you could argue that happens in regular stories. The outcome is predetermined. We say this person lives and this person dies. Yeah. But guess what? In a tournament, there's no tension.
Yeah.
What really got me really pissed off about tournaments was Pokemon. Okay. At the end of every basically season, Ash has to go to the local finals. I mean, to the Battle of the Elite Four and all that jazz, you know, the stuff that you do at the end of every Pokemon game. But the problem is that he's never won one, despite the fact that he is literally friends with gods. I'm not kidding here. Someone has calculated he's written like 12% of all... He's friends with 12% of all legendaries in the Pokemon universe. But, okay. So, the first time he went up, Charizard just didn't obey him, and that's why he lost. Second time, okay, that was also a loss, but that was a reasonable loss. Third time, okay, getting a little fishy at this point. Fourth time... Ash was actually doing well until they brought in a guy who had never appeared before 2 episodes before he kicked Ash's ass. And he only used 2 Pokemon, one of which was the God of Death of the Pokemon world. And the other was another legendary Pokemon. It basically exists to say, no, we can't have Ash win an actual tournament because that would imply that he's a Pokemon master and we can't ever have him better than the gamers.
Yeah, well, that must be the problem.
Yeah. But that just really highlighted to me how tournaments don't fucking work in anime or anything. And all of Mega Man Battle Network 4 is about the tournaments. All of it. Every single one. Every single bit of it. Until, and here's the thing. Until the very beginning and the end. Because it turns out that dark chips, you know, those things that we barely touched upon, have been drawing the attention of a giant alien AI who lives in an asteroid and is going to destroy the Earth.
Wow.
And the only way to stop the asteroid is to send the strongest net battler in the world up into the asteroid and use their net navi to divert its course. First off, I'd like to thank the asteroid for conveniently having the same computer programming.
Yes. Aliens
Second off,
do that.
Second off, how do you know you can do this? Third off, why do you need to know the strongest net battler in the world? Just send Land, the guy who saved the world 3 times already. 4, this introduces the dark chip mechanic, which is basically if your character ever gets tired, they get tempted by dark chips, which while providing like pretty much a one-hit instant KO for anything, they also permanently reduce your health by 1 point. every time you use one. Okay. Battle Network 5 was even worse. I don't even get this one, but it's Team of Proto Man and Team of Colonel. Okay. So the plot is that this guy from the future, I think, no, wait, maybe. I'm not sure. Fuck it. Basically, the world has been taken over by dark evil things, and you have to go into these weird puzzle games that have battle forms that you've never seen before and don't really have an interest in. And fuck it, I don't even know what's going on in this game. I seriously don't.
I wish I could explain it to you.
Yeah, but then the final main story game is Battle Network 6. And this one thankfully returns to the good days of 1 through 3. World 3 is back. You have to stop them. Thank you. And, yeah. I like these games a lot. They got me into a whole bunch of new types of storytelling and game design. And I liked them. There were other games in the franchise, too. One of which is I am embarrassed that it is part of it.
Oh.
Megaman Network Transmission, which takes place in between the first and second games, where there's something called the Zero virus going around and infecting people and making their navies go crazy. One, they completely removed the overworld from the game. So instead of running around and finding places, you can jack into here and send your navi in and find money or chips or monsters to fight. Instead, what happens is that you will randomly select a place on a map. But what's really embarrassing about this is it's done in the old style of Mega Man gaming instead of the style of the Battle Network series.
What's the difference?
Mega Man Battle Network was done almost kind of like a combination of a Pokemon game and an RPG. Well, actually just an RPG game. You'd be running around in the world and then suddenly you'd be forced to stop and battle viruses on a 6x3 grid. With 3x3 for you and 3x3 for the viruses. You could affect their grid or your grid. You could attack them. They could attack you. And that was basically how also net battles with other hostile net navies worked.
Okay. It was a whole different system, really.
Yeah. And what's better, you could collect battle chips, which were things that would allow you to do special attacks. And that was actually the main way of attacking because your Mega Buster does shit.
Oh, I see.
But the thing is, original Mega Man games were a side-scrolling platformer.
Yeah, quite different.
Yeah. But what's really embarrassing about Network Transmission was, and you're going to love this, they only translated the text into English. All the voices are Japanese.
So, not gonna hear from your favorite actors there, probably.
Or any recognizable words. You ever wanted to hear your favorite characters?
Wait. When you said the text was translated, I assumed you meant subtitles.
No.
There are no subtitles. Oh, gosh.
Nope. just the text.
Oh, you're just sitting there like, all right, I hope something interesting is going on right now.
Oh, no, wait. The subtitles are in English. Oh. It's just that the spoken word is Japanese.
I see.
There was also Battle Chip Challenge, which sucked ass. And it was a weird game that I don't know how to describe, but it had like some cool net navies that you'd never see in the main game, which sucks because I liked Ring and Turbo Man. But no, let's not have those characters in there because why would we want to have something interesting?
Nope, no room for that.
Okay, but what's really interesting is my favorite character from Mega Man Battle. Okay, some stuff about Lan and Mega Man. Their father is Dr. Hikari Jr. Mega Man was actually a human at one point. He was Lan's twin brother who died when he was a baby, but got his brain scanned into a computer, so he's able to serve as a net navi now.
Okay.
So that's a thing. So there's actually some pretty sweet moments when Lan and his brother Hub are talking to one another, except Hub is Mega Man.
Right.
Secondly is the story of Bass, which I absolutely love. And it's tied into the story of Battle Network 3. Bass is a net navi without a net op. He was designed that way, to be a solo program to find and destroy errors in the system. See, the problem, however, is that he was super zealous at his job. So he would find and destroy programs that he just deemed inefficient or weak because that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to be a helpful person. But when this involves breaking into other scientists' files and just breaking shit, they kind of got mad at him. But then the problem came that the Alpha Internet system started to go haywire and he was blamed for it. By the time he was almost dead, they realized, oh shit, this is the problem. Except Dr. Cossack never stood up for Base. He pulled a runner. So Base hates all of humanity because he was unfairly maligned by them. And he has a program called the Get Ability, which is basically, I have the ability to copy anything you throw at me.
He is Kirby.
Actually, that's not except he permanently gains those abilities.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so in the first game, he breaks in at the end of the game and steals the life virus data, which grants him the life aura. Auras are pains in the asses because they regenerate, and you can only destroy them if you attack them with something above whatever aura they have. So if they have a 100 underneath them, you have to attack them with something above 100 strength.
Okay.
Or equal to 100 strength. And Base has one that regenerates infinitely.
Oh.
I mean, you break it, but it will reform. In the second game, which is all about Base, sort of, at the end of it, he actually absorbs the final boss, the remnants of it, and becomes even strong. Oh, no, wait, no, hang on. I skipped a step.
No.
And in the third game, he becomes his most powerful form, Base GS. Where after he gets destroyed, his data fragments reform in the Undernet. Well, the secret part of the Undernet that rules over the Undernet is like this. Oh god damn it! I love this show so much, but I mean, there's just so much story and backstory
underneath the net.
Yeah, but he fuses with the final boss of the second game to become his most powerful incarnation ever. And yet, weirdly enough, that's the last time we see that form. Every other game, he uses, like, darkness-inspired attacks, like the dark chips and shit. Which is a shame, because I really liked the fact that he could point his arm, and it would turn into a giant, glitched-out wolf's head that breathed, like, super nuke levels of power.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Battle Network also has the unique distinction of every version of the media has nothing to do with anything else.
Really?
Yeah, there's 2 mangas for it, an anime, and a game. None of the plots are similar. Yeah, the anime had completely different storylines and plots, although I still liked it, but it was butchered to hell by the translation team. Well, no, not the translation team, by the production staff, who only did like a quarter of the episodes, and the rest they decided to get rid of for some insane reason, including some really awesome ones. Although some changes they made, they did have to make. Like, one of the bad guys was called Fireman, because that's because all the original robots from the original series are now net navies. Well, this was just after 9/11, so saying that a fireman was responsible for a campaign of arson was not a great thing to do. So they changed his name to Torchman, which I honestly liked better, so, you know. Another thing they changed from the original Megaman... Wait, hang on. They also changed Base's backstory, making him Pharaoh Man, who died and came back as...
Pharaoh Man?
Yeah.
Does he have the power of being a pharaoh?
He's basically a giant mummy.
Oh. All right, then.
A giant sarcophagus. Yeah. Which, he was like a secret boss in Battle Network 2, but here he was just like, I am the god of the internet. And then he dies, and he's like, I'm Base. I don't remember what happened to me.
All right.
Okay. And after Season 2 happened, after Season 3 happened, they just fucking never did another episode.
just got bored or something.
No, and they butchered Season 3, Access. Access was actually kind of where things got really weird and really divergent from the games, because they introduced places called dimensional areas, which was where the digital world and the human world could intersect. Inside of them, net navis and viruses could spontaneously generate.
I'm guessing the virus part was bad.
Well, yeah, and net navis, because this was also during the Dark Chip segment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Also, for some reason, they used Battle Network 3 navis as Dark Chip villains, too, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyways, it also includes something awesome called cross fusion, where a human would become one with their net navi and use them as like a suit of armor in the dimensional areas, which was so totally fucking awesome. The manga was completely different from that as well, because it turns out like in the background, the whole thing was Mega Man and Bass getting stronger so they could fight each other. And like getting different forms and shit. And then there was another manga that was completely different from that. Then they came out with a sequel series called Mega Man Star Force, where apparently net navis are a thing of the past, and an alien has grafted itself onto the personal computer of the hero, and you have to turn into the net navi and go into the computer and stop viruses from aliens.
Wow.
By that time I'd pretty much had other shit to do than play video games, so yeah. I love this series so much. The characters are just great.
What platforms is it on?
Game Boy Advance.
Oh, I see. That would explain why I missed out on it.
Yeah. Lan's friends were all just always a treat for me. Like, Lan and his friend Melu were just always adorable together. And for fans of the classic series, you're not going to like it, but Mega Man and Roll are an item, though thankfully they're not brother and sister this time. They're two separate people that happen to meet.
All right. Every continuity is different, apparently.
Yep.
Must be like a dozen of them at this point.
Oh my god, yes. Lan's friend Dex is enormously fat.
Okay.
He also has Gutsman, a classic Mega Man villain, as his net navi, but he's a good guy. Then they have Glide for Yai. And I hated Yai because she was a spoiled brat who was super intelligent and lorded it over everyone. And Glide never fought anyone. He was just like this butler program.
Did he glide places, or is he just called that?
He's just called that.
Okay.
Then there's Chad and Proto Man. Proto Man being Mega Man's famous brother from the original series. Except this time he doesn't wield a gun, he has a sword. And his net op is an asshole. You know, seriously, he's his one defining trait from all of the media versions of him is douche.
I see.
Yeah. Landstad is a super scientist. I don't know. Look, I just like this series, okay? And I've talked for 23 minutes about it, but I really...
I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. I wish I'd played it, and then I would have like some idea what to say.
I can lend you the strategy guides, because those basically will cover the story.
Oh, wow. I mean, now we've already made the video. Yes, I could look at them, sure.
Yeah. Or you could, do the thing.
Look it up online.
Let's Plays.
Let's Plays. Yep. Seen a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, Let's Play of the Oregon Trail. I thought was funny. That's Oregon with a G-A-N. It's a zombie game. It's great. Yeah, I know. That is kind of gross if you think about it. Don't think about it.
Okay, well, I've said everything that I could say, and my voice is starting to go out, so
That's what we get for reviewing too much. I'm Sonic Sons.
Signing off.